Holy cannoli, kids, I'm Mario, and I'm telling you, if you're not watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, you're gonna turn into a Goomba.
The day was Monday, September 4th, 1989. The school day was over. Your lips were tired from blowing the dust out of the bottoms of your Nintendo games. Your probably allowance broke since you had a Batman, Indiana Jones, and a Ghostbusters movie come out within the last few months.
You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
But things weren't all bad. At least you had a newly invented Lunchables chilling in the fridge. Mario looked like this. Luigi looked like this. Things were all right. And then this happened.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
What was a paisano? Why did Mario sound like he smoked 1,000 cigarettes for breakfast? Was your favorite video game character really from Brooklyn? Your questions were many, the answers yet to come. Super Mario Bros. Super Show came during an era when Nintendo hadn't quite figured out who Mario was, and what we got was a world where animation, aging wrestlers, weirdness, and video game characters would combine to form something approaching genius levels. Here's everything you didn't know about Super Mario Bros. Super Show.
The brothers!
Based on the world of the NES Super Mario video games, Super Mario Bros. Super Show was the first to bring the NES universe to television, and told the stories of Super Mario, Luigi, and Legend of Zelda without you having to press A, B, left, right, up, etc. the whole time. Each episode featured a live-action comedy segment with actors Lou Albano and Danny Wells playing Mario and Luigi.
We're the Mario Brothers, we're the best.
The live-action sketch was divided in two by a cartoon featuring the adventures of Mario and Luigi, as well as Princess Toadstool, King Koopa, Toad, and other Mushroom Kingdom mainstays. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, Princess Toadstool, King Koopa, don't you mean Princess Peach and Bowser? Princess Toadstool and King Koopa were the original names for those characters. King Koopa wasn't referred to as Bowser until 1991's Super Mario World, and Princess Peach wasn't commonly used in America until 1996's Super Mario 64, although Japanese versions of Mario games have always called her Peach. The more you know, you know? As an expansion into the medium of television, Super Mario Bros. Super Show was naturally intended to widen the exposure of the Mario characters and promote sales of video games and other merchandise. At the same time, the showmakers had a fair amount of creative latitude to do their own unconventional, freewheeling world building. For example, the live-action segments included all sorts of one-off characters who had nothing to do with the Mario games.
I am Dr. Sigmund Fruity Cake, the noted head doctor.
The cartoons in each episode involved action-adventure plots you'd expect based on the video game's objectives. Generally, it was our heroes foiling King Koopa's evil plans.
I'll get you for this, you pesky plumbers!
The live-action segments, by contrast, were more pure comedy, relying heavily on slapstick and plumbing jokes,
Mario Brothers Plumbing, you block 'em, we clear 'em.
and Italian-American stereotypes.
Luigi, enough water to the floor! You go help your brother, you lazy mortadella!
I'm really sorry, all you Italian-Americans out there, seriously. But shout out to those of us who have found whole pieces of spaghetti on our clothes after a meal. Pasta power. I mean, really, it's happened.
With a little piece of spaghetti on your overalls.
Usually it's penne, not spaghetti, but whatever. Every live-action segment also featured a celebrity cameo, and it was a real who's who of late 80s icons. You had Cyndi Lauper, Ernie Hudson, Magic Johnson, Vanna White, and Elvira all dropping by, sometimes through Mario and Luigi's medicine cabinet.
Hi, are you the Mario brothers?
Sure are. Wow, you're Nicole Leggett.
And a whole bunch of other 80s sitcom actors and professional wrestlers were featured as well. Super Mario Bros. Super Show had an intimate WWF connection via Albano, who was a former wrestler and manager. Much more on that to come, don't you worry, we're gonna get there. The show's episodes featured two main themes. One is the intro rap theme at the opening of the show that's known as the Plumber Rap, which samples the Super Mario theme and promises to get us hooked on the brothers.
We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
Research credits the actors Albano and Wells as the rappers, but I just feel like that can't be right. It also features some of the best, so awful, they're amazing dancing you'll ever see.
Yo, you're in for a treat, so hang on to your seat. Get ready for adventure and remarkable feats. You'll meet.
If you still feel like dancing after the plumber rap, the end credits feature Do the Mario.
Swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario thing.
A dance instructional performed by Albano that tragically failed to launch what should have been the greatest dance craze since the Charleston. I mean, clearly I have to do it, right? Okay, so get ready, sort of prepare yourselves physically, emotionally, you will be sexually attracted. It's like this.
Let's do the Mario all together now. Come on now, just like that.
Super Mario Bros. Super Show was a show for kids, but looking back with 2019 goggles, and I say this with total affection for the weirdness, it also sometimes had something of an, should kids really be watching this vibe going on. For one thing, let's take a look at that Elvira cameo again.
I have done all a gal in black can do. I am in a tizzy.
I mean, Elvira is known for two things: awesome goth show hosting and something that this appearance made little effort to conceal.
Luigi
But in general, things are, just pretty weird. Like, stoners would love this weird. For one thing, the bouncy iconic Mario sound effects are used to punctuate both the cartoons and the live action segments. With the cartoons, it makes sense to use these when, say, Mario takes a big jump. But when it's just two older guys lumbering around on a cheesy set, the effect is pretty off kilter in its delightfulness. What the f is Mario doing with his hands there? You know what? Actually, I don't want to know, don't tell me. And then there's Albano's voice. It's pretty wild to hear if you're used to that peppy, higher-pitched Mario voice we all know and love.
It's a Mario time! Let's go!
But when Super Mario Bros. Super Show premiered, that Mario voice hadn't been invented yet. The voice actor who set the consistent tone for Mario's voice, Charles Martinet, didn't play the character until 1995's Mario's Game Gallery for the PC.
Mario's Game Gallery.
And the voice didn't become widely known until Super Mario 64.
Hello!
But Mario isn't the only unusual sounding character. King Koopa also sounds like a New York ethnic stereotype because holy moly, this show just can't stop.
A toast to me for getting rid of the princess and her pals all in one fell swoop.
Toad, who you probably know better as sounding like this,
Yahoo!
here sounds more like Gilbert Gottfried.
I'm just a mushroom that can't stand heights.
Just stop.
The plots of the Mario cartoons were often drawn from adult pop culture, everything from Shakespeare to RoboCop. Don't let your kids watch RoboCop. It's pretty crazy. Other things that are types of random and weird include this.
I want my feet licked.
This one, and maybe this. And that's all from the first episode. Also, we double-checked that Toad's mushroom cap is part of his head and not a hat, so I don't know how he did that. As an added bonus, episodes of Super Mario Bros. Super Show that aired usually on Fridays featured a Legend of Zelda cartoon instead of a Mario one. This show within a show had its own theme song featuring the Zelda overworld theme and a handy explanation of the story.
Nice job, hero.
Hey, excuse me, princess.
"Excuse me, princess," was Cartoon Link's catchphrase, and yes, it has found a second life as a meme. The Legend of Zelda cartoon reimagined Link as less of a soulful silent type and more of a thirsty bro.
Party time!
I mean, it's not my Link, but if it's your Link, God bless. You're just wrong, but have fun with it.
Are you gonna talk or smooch?
As the intro explains, the episodes featured game-inspired struggles against Ganon to control the Triforce.
This is the Triforce of Wisdom, Link. The evil wizard Ganon has the Triforce of Power.
Like the Mario segments, Zelda also featured fun video game music and sound effects. The The whole thing is a little bit corny, but I, for one, love corn. And I also love Ganon screeching a lot at skeleton minions and calling them imbeciles.
You imbeciles!
Bob Forward, who also wrote for the broader Super Mario Bros. Super Show, was in charge of the Zelda episodes. Jonathan Potts provided the voice of Link, Cindy Preston played Zelda, and Len Carlson voiced Ganon. Don Franks, who contributed additional voices, also voiced Boba Fett in the Star Wars Christmas special.
I am Boba Fett. The ship you seek is nearby.
So that gives us a really good excuse to play a clip from the Star Wars Christmas special, which is always a win.
And guess what we're ready for now? The cooking.
Okay, fine, I take it back. So, how did Super Mario Bros. Super Show come to be? First and foremost, we have Shigeru Miyamoto to thank for inventing the characters in the first place. Miyamoto created both the world of Mario and Zelda, so without him, there's no show. And the story behind Mario's creation is fascinating. Mario, as you may know, first appeared in the arcade game Donkey Kong, which Miyamoto designed. Miyamoto conceived of the character as a Popeye-esque hero, which kind of accounts for Mario's hat. Mario started off as a carpenter, since the original Donkey Kong game takes place on a construction site. The character was originally going to be named Mr. Video, but legend has it the name switch was inspired by Mario Segale, the landlord of Nintendo America's storage warehouse. Mario Brothers, which was Miyamoto's follow-up arcade game, took place in the sewers of New York City. Mario became a plumber, and the rest was history. So, even though the show's association of Mario with New York might seem odd to some people now, given the backstory of Mario Brothers, it made total sense for the Super Show's creators to incorporate it in the premise of the show.
It says right here that you two are the best plumbers in Brooklyn and quite possibly the world.
And you know, for kids who grew up in the 90s, we don't really know him any other way. Super Mario Bros. Super Show itself was created by Andy Hayward, who was the CEO of Deke Entertainment and saw gold in the opportunity to expand the world of Nintendo's characters. Hayward was a kids' television writing and producing machine. He created the character Inspector Gadget, produced Mask, Dennis the Menace, G.I. Joe, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Captain Planet, Carmen Sandiego, Sailor Moon, a short-lived TV adaptation of Where's Waldo? Well, there he is. Madeline, Alf the Animated Series, Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd Century, the list goes on and on. Seriously, without Hayward, kids in the 80s wouldn't have had a childhood, which is why we'd like to present him right now with Sci-Fi's first and last annual Savior of the 80s Award. Ah, wow, you are getting Tag Team Wrestling. Congratulations. We only could afford one prop for this video. So, there were 25 credited writers on Super Mario Bros. Super Show, and while none of them may be particularly famous, they covered and are still covering an enormous swath of TV history. One of the writers, George Atkins, wrote for Mr. Magoo, which ran from 1960 to 1962. And David Ehrman, who was a young writer on the Super Show, is currently writing for USA's Queen of the South. That's 60 years of collective TV memory. One name that jumped out to us from the writing staff was J. Larry Carroll. He's had a long career as a journeyman TV writer, but he was also the film editor on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Unforgettable, but I guess he liked writing better. The majority of Super Mario Bros. Super Show was directed by a young Dan Reba, who would go on to direct lots of animation in the DC animated universe of the 90s and early 2000s. We're talking Batman the Animated Series, Superman, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, and Static Shock. I needed both hands. Then there's the cast. As we said, Mario was played by Lou Albano. As a professional wrestler, Albano went by Captain Lou Albano, and his trademark was putting rubber bands all over his face. It's the best. But by the time he played Mario, Albano had transitioned from an active wrestler to a manager. His deep ties to the wrestling world made the show a natural landing place for wrestling guest stars.
That's a mistake most people make just once.
Including Roddy Piper and Sergeant Slaughter.
Proceed on schedule, doughboy. Hop two, double time it.
He's also had a fascinating connection with the aforementioned Cyndi Lauper. Albano and Lauper met by chance on a plane and became fast friends. And Albano also played the dad in the music video for Lauper's iconic Girls Just Wanna Have Fun. See, It's kind of annoying when someone talks to you on a plane, but who knows? Maybe it could help you out in some way. You might make a friend. Luigi was played by Danny Wells, who had been a TV character actor since the early 70s. While he may not have played many big parts, he'll always be a part of film history as the announcer for the show within the movie, What Do Kids Know?, in Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia. Veteran voice actors handled the rest of the roles from the Mario cartoons. Janine Elias voiced Princess Toadstool, John Stalker voiced Toad, and Harvey Atkin played King Koopa. Joyce Gordon, who's credited with additional voices on IMDb, played the lunch lady in Billy Madison.
Have some more sloppy joes.
And wait a minute, a very young Patrick Dempsey played a plant. Seriously, that is Patrick Dempsey. That is McDreamy. Or was it McSteamy? I don't remember that. Anyway. So, to bring it all home, Super Mario Bros. Super Show is jarring, wacky, probably insane, possibly inappropriate, and definitely as big-hearted as anything else. And its wacky generosity and unapologetic messiness are perhaps something to be celebrated. Because the reality is that today, Nintendo, or any other multi-billion-dollar brand, would never let two goofy guys like Albano and Wells within 1,000 football fields, or wrestling rings, of their precisely managed intellectual property. Super Mario Bros. Super Show came out among a broader introduction of Mario as a mass-market vehicle that was trying a lot of different things at once. And as history has shown, the version of Mario depicted in Super Show definitely didn't win the day. These days, Mario, like every other character who represents a major brand, is subject to 100-page-long usage guides and teams of lawyers whenever he appears. And I mean, ever since that movie, I gotta think that, it didn't help because of how crazy it was. Mario will never be a lovable schlub or a weirdo again, and that gives Super Mario Bros. Super Show's charm and humanity a beautiful and even kind of sad quality. The glossier revisions of Mario that followed may be awesome and fun, but they also left something kind of special behind. What do you guys think? Does it hold up? Did you let your kids watch RoboCop? I mean, I was allowed to, and I'm f***ing insane, so I don't know. Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to do the Mario.
Swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time
Okay,
to
stop.
go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, for sure.
Until next time, everybody, do the